I don't know when I've been more embarrassed and disgusted with America's insane radical left. I'm talking about the people, the politicians, and the paid officials as I have over this deportation program, including the LA riots and all the chaos that we've been witnessing. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for another show and hang on for the ride.
All right, it's time again for Larry's Rants, Raves, and Reviews. And now, let's get back to Larry.
You know, there comes a point when silence feels like complacency, and that's why I started this podcast. I've got to tell you, folks, watching the chaos unfold in our cities, from the lawlessness of the LA riots to the reckless deportations policy and the blind eye turned by radical officials, I no longer recognize the country that I love. It is unrecognizable to me. This isn't progress, it's collapse, cheered on by the very people sworn to protect our order and our justice. I'm done pretending that this is normal, because it is not normal. They cheer it on. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not normal, and what we're witnessing isn't justice. It's deliberate demolition of the law and order and national identity. It's engineered by the radical communist left Democrats that's drunk on power and their desire for destruction. From the LA riots to the border crisis, chaos isn't a side effect, it's the plan. I've said this all along, it's the plan. And this is being done to our country on purpose. It's a plan to bring us down. And if you're not outraged by this yet, it's because you're not paying attention. Well, Randy, I got that off my chest.
I'm so glad you did.
Would you like to jump in anywhere at all?
Do you think it's really that bad?
Oh, really? Well, let's find out all through this show. We'll figure out if it's that bad or not.
I'm just glad it wasn't that bad in Arkansas, because I don't think Sarah Huckabee would have put up with it.
I don't think she would have either.
I don't think she would have. I mean, we had a little bit of stuff going on, little protests and all that stuff. But, and then everybody was saying that, Trump put all these National Guard people, they went to protect the federal buildings.
Yes.
If he wouldn't, they don't say that.
No.
They went to protect the federal buildings, because if they wouldn't have done that, they would have been all in the federal buildings. That's what they were wanting to tear up.
Can I ask who owns those federal buildings?
Yeah, really.
Can I ask who pays for those federal buildings?
Yeah, we do.
That's the people.
That's part of our money over there.
Yeah,
they
that's
have
right.
California, but that little block right there where that federal building is, that's us. He went in there to protect that. He didn't want to see that get tore up.
No.
The federal buildings.
And folks, what you've witnessed here is Randy when he says, "Is it really that bad?" What he's really doing is poking at me. He's poking at the bear because he knows that if he pokes at me, I'll bite back.
That's right. Keep it going, Larry.
Yeah. Well, let me give you this statistic to tell you how bad this really is. Fox News reported a study from the Media Research Center that shows that in the space of one day, now we're talking from June the 11th to June the 12th.
Right.
CNN and MSNBC personalities claimed that the anti-ICE demonstrations were peacefully a whopping 211 times. 211 times they said that the anti-ICE demonstrations are largely or mostly peaceful. Now, look, ladies and gentlemen, that's propaganda is what that is.
Well, sure.
That is communist-controlled propaganda. You have to recognize that the Communist Party has overtaken the airwaves and the news media And if you're watching somebody like CNN and MSDNC, those kind of people, I'm telling you, they're brainwashing you, and you need to get off of them. So, Randy,
I like to jump over there just to see what they say.
do you? Yeah, so you can get a good laugh.
Yeah, really.
You know, I think with our mental
It's
capacity,
crazy.
we can probably handle it. But there's a lot of folks that are too stupid to realize.
They think it's gospel.
Absolutely, they do. They really do. Hey, let's show a couple of videos. I've got a very short video. Video 1. It's going to show you the demonstrations, not riots, but these demonstrations are largely or mostly peaceful. Now, those of you that aren't watching on video, what you're seeing is a car that is burning, people climbing all over cars right now. Show it one more time because it's so short.
We get it going again.
It's so short, we can show it one more time.
Look at that.
Now, whose flag is that? That's a Mexican flag, correct?
Yeah.
That's Mexico flag.
Yeah.
Now, that is not a riot.
Of course not. That don't look like a riot.
That's a demonstration, Randy.
That's just a demonstration, Larry.
That's largely and mostly peaceful. Now, let's go to video 2. Let's show them a little bit more of mostly peaceful demonstration.
Local police.
Nope,
he should
that's
talk to the
video
people
3.
that he's
Okay,
had
hold on.
deployed there, and he has a responsibility in all of this. He started this.
We're going. Here it comes to you right there.
Now they're standing on a bridge. They're taking bricks and all kinds of stuff. We're having some difficulties here
We're getting it there.
with the video. But this is a video of the rioters, the demonstrations that throws bricks and all kinds of mess off of the bridge, and they're hitting the LA police officers.
Look at that.
All the cars.
Does that look like peaceful?
California, are you happy with this peaceful demonstration? California taxpayers, are you happy with seeing what
Good
your
grief.
officials are allowing? Now, here are people wrapped in a Mexico flag, and they're throwing this off and hitting the demonstrators.
I hadn't seen that.
You hadn't seen that
I
one?
hadn't seen that one. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, mostly peaceful, though.
Mostly peaceful.
Now, let me ask a couple of questions. I love to ask questions. When is this no longer a demonstration and becomes a riot? Now, we see this. This is what we call a demonstration.
Right.
When does it become a riot? Number one, is it when they're no longer politically convenient for the wild left Democratic Party?
Probably. I think so.
Or two, does it become a riot when they're outside Maxine Waters' gated home instead of torching businesses in working class neighborhoods? That's a demonstration that is
They need
peaceful,
to be.
okay?
They need to be.
That's her definition of it, folks. That's the left-wing radical communist people. That's their definition of a demonstration.
Oh, that's crazy. Oh, well, you know, that's California. That's them.
Suddenly, the narrative flips from justice to threat if it comes to Maxine Waters' gated community house where she's taken care of.
I'm going to be in California next week.
I would love to see this kind of stuff happen right outside of her home or Nancy Pelosi's home.
Yeah.
I really would, because I wonder, will it be a demonstration or a riot?
Yeah. That ain't going to happen.
You see, as a right-wing, law-abiding person,
She was probably in that, wasn't she?
well, okay, now you laugh at that, but I got a little secret over here tucked away in one of these videos that we're going to talk about. You're going to love it. So, hey, let's take a look at something that I found out here. We're going to take a tour through the Democrat logic, okay? Number one, there's 4 points to this. Number one, the Democrats' logic is that the LA riots aren't the fault of the rioters.
Okay.
They're the fault of ICE for being in Los Angeles enforcing the law.
Well, sure, that's what they say. That's it.
Now, folks, when I tell you that these left-wing radical communists have lost their ever-loving minds, you really want to debate me on that subject? Really? Can you see some of these videos? Can you hear some of this? If you think that, ICE and the police are at fault. Karen Bass, what's the governor's name? Gavin Newsom? Are they treating your tax dollars properly? Californians, are you proud of them? Are you going to be dumb enough to go and cast a vote one more time for them? I think it's time for you to do your own peaceful demonstration and take them out of office.
Larry, but the thing is, there's people that you say that sarcastically, but there's people that would really say, yes.
I'm afraid so, and I'm afraid
we're a divided
as far
country.
As voted for,
we're a divided a divided country, Larry. And
we are.
It's unbelievable the way they could think that way. But they do. They do. There's people out there, a certain percentage of them. We thought they were going to win a few months ago.
We were scared spitless.
I know it, and it's crazy, but they're out there.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to Democrat logic. Number 2, it's President Trump's fault because he provoked violent agitators by sending the National Guard in to restore peace.
It's always his fault.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's his fault.
Absolutely it is.
I mean, it could be good or not good, or nothing good is his fault.
So it's President Trump's fault because the National Guard. Well, folks, if he didn't need the National Guard, I don't think he would have called them. I don't think he would have called them in. Why would he?
He needed the National Guard there again, just to protect those federal buildings. Is what it was.
And we the people.
Yeah, our buildings.
Yeah. Number 3, Mexican and Palestinian flag wavers are so peaceful that they don't need a curfew. That's their logic. They're saying, oh, well, they're peaceful. They don't have to have a curfew. Ladies and gentlemen, who actually was the curfew put on? It was we the people.
Right.
These rules that are put in place because of these demonstrators, as they call them, it's because it's simply because they're the ones getting the curfew. Number 4, it's okay to torch the self-driving cars, they're Waymos, I think is what they're called, and loot small businesses because illegal immigrants are afraid of getting deported. And the reason that they're really not that afraid of it is because the Obama judges will overrule and take care of it anyway. You see, the liberals are racist because they think that we have to have these people in our country in order to pick our crops, clean our motels, and to mow our lawns. Mm-hmm. And folks, I've heard liberals talk about that kind of thing all the time. And that's how little they think of these people. But again, they're not coming after the people that are working in restaurants, picking the crops, working on job sites for contractors.
Right.
They're not coming after those people. Mm-hmm. Those are people that have been here peacefully for years, and they're just out here doing a job, paying taxes and doing their thing. They're coming after these violent, horrible, horrible people. Mm-hmm. Well, let me remind America. Bill Clinton had 12.3 million deportations. George Bush had 10.3 million deportations. Barack Hussein Obama, said with all the disdain that I could muster up, had 5.3 million. Now, guess what all 3 of those have in common, Randy? They have 0 injunctions against them. They were allowed to do all of that with 0 injunctions.
Well, sure, they weren't Trump.
Now, Trump...
Yeah.
President Trump has 100,000 deportations so far.
Good.
And he's had 30 injunctions.
Huh.
You see, the Biden Biden flew in, the Biden regime, the radical, horrible, illegal people that on our tax dollars, about 14 million people. The rapists, the drug addicts, the child molesters, they're the ones that he flew in, and now Trump is trying to fix the mess. Mm-hmm. And all of these Obama-appointed judges are the ones that's stopping him and fighting him.
It's the judges. I'm telling you, we've talked about it before.
Yep, we sure
They're
have.
the ones that's the last straw that's in power.
Well, he put those communists in power to go after him, or to go and go after the country, and that's exactly what happened. Here's a quote from Glenn Beck. I follow him on X, and I like him. He said, "The West isn't being asked to shelter the world; it's being asked to surrender to it, and I'm not ready to kneel." You see, America's being destroyed from the inside, from within. And I've got to remind everybody, this is not immigration, it's infiltration. It is infiltration. Hey, let's go back to video 3. That's Maxine Waters.
He should talk to the people that he's had deployed there, and he has a responsibility in all of this. He started this. There should be no violence. He should not continue to support violence. They should not be edged on and, provoked in any way. And that's what the President of the United States is doing, to exert his power and to show that he's in charge and to show that he's going to get the numbers that he promised to get people deported. And
now, folks, she thinks that she's making a great argument here that, they would have been peaceful, everything would have been fine, but President Trump is provoking them. And he's egging them on. She said edged on, but she's egging them on. Now, folks, what you're looking at is the dumbest member of Congress by far. And there's some pretty good people in the running. I mean, you got AOC.
I was going to say.
You got
you think she's dumber than that?
Yeah, the TikTok queen that is out of Texas. God, I'm drawing a blank. Having a senior moment. What's her name? And I got some.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So anyway, folks, this is one of the dumbest, if not the dumbest. Now we've got one more of her, video 4, Randy. Let's play it because let's get another one in there from Maxine Waters, the dumbest person around.
And even those who were out of step with what we are advocating, peaceful protest, did not create any violence. Nobody was shot. Nobody was killed. Get it in your head. And so when martial law is called, what are you going to say? I missed the point. Don't miss the point, you all. Don't think that somehow, because they called out the National Guard, there was violence. There was no violence. I was on the street. I know. And I went from downtown detention back out into the community, talking to people what happened in Paramount, what happened in Compton, what happened in Inglewood. So, first of all, get it straight. And don't just rely on what you're being told or the few incidents that you saw.
Now, let me back up because there's so much that we can talk about here, Randy. But did you notice in that video she said they're out of step with what we are advocating?
Okay.
So in other words, the liberal Democrats, as I call them communists, they're the ones advocating all of this. They're wanting all the pushback. They're wanting all the riots. They are willing to do anything they can to fight Trump. And they're calling for these radical idiots to get on the street and do this kind of stuff.
Well, she said she was out there. I didn't see her, but
yeah,
she must not have been on that street
when she wasn't there. Where I did see her was when she went to one of these ICE facilities and made a demand to come in and inspect it. Okay, yeah. I think that's probably what she was looking at. But what I really find it's humorous to me is that she sits there and says Americans shouldn't rely on their own eyes. We saw the violence. Is that not violence?
Yeah, but you're supposed to look at that, Larry. She said you're not supposed to look at that.
Let me tell you something. If after we get done here, I go outside and my little old van is out there burning in flames,
Yeah.
I'm going to consider that violence. Do you understand?
It should be.
If I see somebody standing there throwing gas on it, this thing on my hip is going to come off and I'm going to take care of them.
Well, I don't think, I really don't think that Sarah would put up with something like that here in this state.
No, neither will Larry. Neither will Larry. The one guy that drove over some of the riders, they had him boxed in, and he knew, okay, if I stay here, my wife's going to get pulled out of the car and get gang raped and killed. I'm going to get pulled out of the car and get killed, okay, or maimed or whatever. I'm going to lose my car. They're beating on my car. They're going to burn it to the ground.
That's gone.
You know what he did? He threw it in gear and drove over some of them. And now
he's getting in trouble.
They want to get him and press charges against him.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly what I'm advocating. I told my family years ago, all this nonsense of people laying across the street and attacking. I said, if you think for a minute I'm stopping this vehicle and I'm going to become a paraplegic because some idiot wants to beat on me, you're out of your ever-loving mind.
Yeah.
I'll either get him with my gun or I'll drive right over him.
I think it was the Florida governor that said you're within rights.
Yes.
To
yes.
drive on.
Yes. Yes.
And you're okay.
So, Redefining Peaceful is the name of this show tonight, and that is exactly what Maxine Waters and some of the other communist idiots have done. They say Maxine stood right there and said, "Don't trust your own eyes. Don't trust your own ears for what you're hearing, because it's not the violence that everybody's calling for."
Right.
Here's one thing that maybe, and we'll end the show tonight with this. Here's one thing, Randy, that I think probably a lot of people might have overlooked. There was an illegal alien from Mexico arrested. Now, this happened in California. He was arrested in June of 2024. He was operating what they called, and he called, the rape dungeon on wheels. Have you heard about this?
No.
Okay. Rape dungeon on wheels. It was a white van, and I've looked for this video, and I could not find it. Okay. I just couldn't find it. But I got pictures here. It's a rape dungeon on wheels that he was outfitted with a cage, with condoms, and kids' toys. And he used this to rape women and children. He was sentenced about a month ago, or 2 or 3 weeks ago. He went through trial. He was sentenced for 25 years. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is why ICE deportation raids matter. Trump and our military is trying to clean up the horrible mess that Hussein, Biden, and Soros, the communist regime, they created this on purpose.
Sure.
They created it on purpose. And Trump is trying to keep we the people, the citizens of California, he's trying to keep us safe. He's trying to keep us from harm. But the elected officials, the politicians, the people that are getting paid, they're the ones that are helping to break the law and allowing it to happen. Think about that for a moment. Think about it for a moment. You have a president that is fighting our own government. Have a good one.